This little short video, well, it's not really probably going to end up being long, but I just wanted to make this video in conjunction with another fellow tradesman who don't know about me or know I exist, I don't think, until just last night when he actually asked me to friend him on Facebook. Now this guy works for, well, he's affiliated with Windows 101, okay? And he's all over the forums. Some of you may know who I'm talking about. He has a bunch of tattoos. He's a middle-aged gentleman, like 50, 57 or 58, still common ladders. God bless you, Frank. Yes, I'm talking about Frank Rave. He doesn't watch my channel, nor does he know I have one. But he doesn't know this video is made because of him. And why do I say that? Well, I saw Frank with a picture on Facebook, and he had two natural sea sponges on there. And I used to use them back in the day when I had a bucket. Because I work by way of pump spray, I've actually forgotten some of the old things and old ways that I used to use when starting out in this business that I still think is good to this day. But I just tried to experiment with other things. And I'm going back to the sea sponge. Why? Because you could wipe up ledges and stuff with that without having to use an extreme amount of rags by the end of the day. This reduces your washing your rags dramatically. Okay, so it's a value in sea sponge. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a review on this sea sponge, along with some other tips and tricks, and how you would want to use your sea sponge. Do you need it? No, you don't. Should you have it, and do I recommend it? Absolutely so. It could be used for numerous things. For one thing, pollen. Okay? We all know, some of us don't get that pollen like some of us do in the Garden State or other places on the East Coast when the humidity is there and everything else working against us. It's a pain in the neck every day to come out and see. Let me show you. It's a pain in the neck to come out every day and see this crap. You know, that's pollen. Alright? So what happens when you run a rag over there? What is it doing? Can any of you take a guess? It's smearing the pollen on the ledge. It is smearing it. See, with a rag, it's not being absorbed. It's kind of like pushing it around. So what happens is you have to keep rotating your rag. If you don't have a big one like I do, which these are great, by the way, for Windows 101, then you're stuck with a small rag rotating it. But check this out. With a sea sponge, you can wipe up the ledge. And what happens, well, I didn't bring this out, but what happens is, unlike a rag, it'll just push the pollen around. And if it does stick to the rag, your rag is nasty all of a sudden. But not with this, because this has pores in it. What happens, it doesn't push the pollen around. The pollen gets absorbed through the sponge. This is another little handy thing, and the reason why you might want to have this. Okay, the natural sea sponge. This is how I use mine. Now, before, when I used to use a bucket, it was an issue. Wasn't an issue. Now, normally I would use the natural sea sponge can hold a lot of water. So I would probably use it sometimes maybe on the inside, but more or less for the outside. Meaning, because I have a pump sprayer, there's no way for me to wring out that sponge on the inside. I would have to go outside. That's the advantages of working with a bucket if you're using sea sponges for ledges and seals and stuff like that. So, in the case like this, because I use a pump sprayer, I would use that sea sponge outside only. I don't need a bucket. If I'm using my pump spray outside, I could just squeeze that water that I wipe up from the seals right onto the ground. So it really doesn't matter. But that's how I would use that. For those who gave up your bucket almost exclusively out of your life, there you have it. Alright, I finally found a solution. And see, when you love your job and your brain is constantly moving, always trying to improve, your brain is always moving, always improving. But check this out. Now, y'all know that I know my trade. And based on what I'm about to explain to y'all now, y'all, some of you might say, damn, Marcus' brain be moving, boy. And it does. Remember I told you about the sea sponge, because now I work by way of pump sprayer. So there's no way for me to wring that sponge out. Check this out. Bam! See? I normally only keep one high flyer in here. When I'm really moving, I'll put a second one in there. But, if you know now there's water you can keep down here in the reservoir. Alright? This sponge will actually soak up some of that. So you can constantly dig in here, right? Get the sponge out and wring it out outside on the ground, or you can wring it back in here and still use it to wipe the ledges. You don't have to have a bucket because you're using a sprayer. You can use this as your bucket. Squeeze it in here and wipe the ledge. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, yeah, this is fantastic. You stuck that in there. You know what I mean? You need some more water. Dig in here, get the sponge out, right? Squeeze it right on your high flyer. Rather than take the time, unclip this, and dip it on your mop. Take the sea sponge and drip it right on there. As long as you're not dripping water over the, all over the place. But y'all get the general idea. Alright, there you have it. Peace, peace, peace. And see, when I told y'all that it was an issue with the pump sprayer and using this now on the inside, I wouldn't have a place to wring it out, but that's not necessarily true. And as you see, I told y'all I put it in here now. Try doing that with a plastic piece of crap around your waist. Maybe, shoot, not even with the Samurai, with all those sections in there. How you gonna get a sponge in there? You could probably squeeze it in there, but then that's going to eliminate some of the slots that you can put your tools in by doing that. See, with this, it's small enough I could fit it deep down into the reservoir where that water is captured. Try doing that with it. This is another handy use with the sea sponge. You could use this forever, and you'll never have to throw it through the laundry wash. You just wring it out and just keep using it. Now, this is one thing I would never use on mirror ledges. A lot of the fancy smancy diners have that mirror finish at the bottom of the framework. And it's kind of hard to do this and expect for it to come out flawless and be able to see your reflection in there without any flaws. In that case, you might not want to use that sponge. You might want to use a squeegee to squeegee off that mirror finish and follow up with an untampered dry rag to catch the remaining little water around the edges or what have you But y'all get the general idea. Alright, let me get back to work.